Thank you for joining us for this Spotlight Series segment. Today, I'm joined by Tenry Fu, who is the CEO at Spectro Cloud, and we're going to be talking about Spectro Cloud's platform and how they help deliver value for organizations who are trying to use Kubernetes and the accompanying ecosystem of tools. So, Tenry, thank you for joining us on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you, James.
By way of getting started, would you just sort of paint for us a picture of why? So you founded companies before, and you founded Spectro Cloud because obviously you must have seen something lacking in the industry or some problem that lots of companies were running into. What is that prompted you to want to build Spectro Cloud?
Yeah, so I was previously at Cisco, right, through the acquisition of my previous startup, Clicker Technology. While I was at Cisco, right, I saw containers and the Kubernetes really taking off, right? And we all see Kubernetes really is an awesome technology, but it is open source, right? It's not an end-to-end enterprise-grade product. And for enterprise to get Kubernetes into production, still there are a lot of effort need to be done, whether it's initial deployment, upgrade, right, operations, and also right all the additional integration, security, and then now with enterprise taking Kubernetes into mainstream with multiple clusters, potentially even in multiple environment, how to keep all these consistent. That really become very challenging. So that's why we want to start Spectro Cloud to build a Kubernetes management platform that's really suitable for enterprise.
Lots of businesses out there would like to take advantage of the functionality and the benefits that Kubernetes can provide. But what we've been hearing is the technical talent to be able to do that well is in high demand and tough to come by right now. And when you can come by it, it's very expensive. And for a lot of businesses, I think there's an opportunity there to use a tool like Spectro Cloud to reap the same benefits without having to go hire a whole team who knows how to build enterprise-grade Kubernetes infrastructure and plug all the pieces into it and still get to the same outcome. What are you seeing in terms of adoption, like from a use case standpoint? Where do companies start looking at their applications and say, you know what, I know what I want to do, but I don't think I want to build it myself. And so they come to someone like Spectro Cloud.
Yeah, so we see a lot of enterprise, especially now with more and more Kubernetes get into production, right? So they start to really feel the burden of Kubernetes management, like how to handle the initial deployment, how to handle the upgrade, and how to handle all the additional integration. Because when you deal with Kubernetes, it's not just the Kubernetes itself, but there are all those additional integration around it, right? Logging, monitoring, service mesh, right? Even with the different kind of storage and the network integrations, right? All these will require a lot of expertise. So what the Spectro Cloud provides is really through our platform, we give them the flexibility that the Kubernetes admin can very easily, through kind of a la carte menu, to drag and drop to construct the end-to-end Kubernetes stack and use that as a kind of a template or disaster state, right? That be able to deploy to any cloud environment and also use that to drive runtime consistency and also use it for upgrade purpose.
So in my mind, there's at least two ways where I can be looking at what I've got in my environment and say, this is a case where something like Spectro Cloud would be really helpful. One is I started out with sort of a base level Kubernetes deployment. I was able to stay on top of that. But like you mentioned, as something like this grows and becomes more critical in production, more things hook into it, it becomes a bit of a beast to manage. And so I say, okay, I need something like Spectro Cloud to help me stay on top of that. The other is if I have nothing at all, it's a greenfield environment where I'm saying I want something like Kubernetes, but I have no idea how to build it. And if I understand correctly, Spectro Cloud can, via a blueprint sort of mechanism, let me pick exactly what I want the stack to look like, which pieces I want, and then it'll just kind of haul off and build it for me. Are those both true? And are there any other ways that people find Spectro Cloud, or things that drive them to adopt it?
Yeah, so both are true. And what we see a very interesting phenomena is a lot of enterprise now start from the initial trying Kubernetes and try to build one large Kubernetes clusters to try to break it into multiple small Kubernetes clusters. So this how to handle the Kubernetes fleet management, right? Consistently across a multiple cluster become very, very important. And also now with different developer team and different business units start to adopt Kubernetes, a lot of enterprise IT try to provide kind of a Kubernetes as a service to their internal consumers, right? So this using a platform like a Spectro Cloud, not only we can help them to do the initial templatization and the day one deployment, but they can very easily handle day two operations and the day three governance as well.
What are some of the reasons that companies are wanting to break out into many Kubernetes clusters versus just one big one? That's something we're hearing a lot about. But I think a lot of the ActualTech media audience would like to understand what are the advantages of having lots of, I guess, dedicated clusters versus one huge one.
Yeah, I think initially a lot of enterprise try to treat Kubernetes as a new kind of container private cloud, right? They try to build a multi-tenancy around it and just build a RBAC rules to restrict the developer to use a different namespace. Hopefully that will be enough isolation. But the reality is there are many limitations on that multi-tenancy model because a lot of resource in Kubernetes are kind of global, right? So we're talking about CRDs, operators, and all those are really global resource. And also now with more and more application running inside a single cluster, that really become a burden for operators to upgrade that Kubernetes cluster because whenever upgrade, then all those applications will become there's upgrade windows and a potential outage. So to reduce the blast radius and also have a better isolation logically, right? So I think more and more enterprise now adopting multiple clusters, smaller clusters, right? But that, of
Related.
course, will introduce a different kind of a management burden, right?
So related to that, and actually management burden is part of this too. Something else we're hearing a lot about is Kubernetes at the edge. And something that can sometimes mean is tens or hundreds of Kubernetes clusters, which becomes a serious management burden. Can Spectro Cloud help there?
Yeah, so we are also working on edge solutions. I think edge, the Kubernetes cluster, is slightly different than the multiple clusters within a single data center because typically every edge location you only have a single cluster, and that cluster typically you may not even have a qualified IT staff there, right, to basically manage all your infrastructure. So a lot of users will prefer end-to-end bare metal provisioning that you don't even need to have a hypervisor right inside the machine, so that it's a less management overhead. Right? And also you will be able to centrally manage all these clusters through single pane of glass that you can directly not only monitor those, but you can seamlessly remote upgrade. And also for edge, because the network latency and sometimes even the network can be unreliable. So those edge clusters need to be able to fully working end to end, right, without be able to connect to internet for some time, right? So they need to work in a kind of offline mode.
Got it. I'm not sure if the major analyst houses would agree on this or not, but it seems to me like maybe we've kind of reached peak hype on Kubernetes and the ecosystem, and now lots of businesses are getting down to, we need to actually move the needle and create some value here with our initiatives where Kubernetes is involved. We're in the time of year where people are making predictions about next year. Do you have any thoughts about what's going to be important for businesses or what they're going to be attempting to do with Kubernetes as we move into 2021?
Yeah, so I think with 2021, we'll continue to see Kubernetes picking up, right? Really, Kubernetes and container technology become really the driving force for digital transformation. We see most of enterprise or the next generation applications and technology, it's all built on top of containers, and containers obviously are run by Kubernetes. So how to really to reduce the burden of a Kubernetes management, right? Let the enterprise just spend their precious resource, limited resource on their own application, and a very fast time to market, time to value. I think that really is the key for a lot of enterprise in 2021.
Very good. Well, Tenry, it's been a pleasure catching up with you on the show today and being able to speak to the ActualTech media audience about Spectro Cloud. If you're watching and you want to learn more, you can head over to the Spectro Cloud website at spectrocloud.com and learn more there. If you've enjoyed this overview and want to see more Spotlight Series overviews like this one, head over to ActualTech Media's YouTube channel at youtube.com/ActualTechMedia. Tenry, thanks again for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you.
Likewise. Thank you.